Welcome to beautiful Glendora, California. My name is Dina Slattery.
I'm Sam Fontaine.
And we are presenting the California Astra versus the California Falcons. We're about to witness the flip. It looks like the captains for the Falcons are Patricia Anderson, Gina Schumacher, and Meady Chang.
Everyone showing love all around. We'll be deciding where we'll be starting. I love it, love it, love it. Hey, you can't have Women's History Month without a W, okay? We all start with a W. We all start with a win. WHM for everybody. That's how we begin this game.
Thank you for joining us. We have an exciting game for you, the first game of the season for the Astra and the Falcons this evening.
So these are two teams that finished their 2022 seasons against each other with a spot at championship weekend on the line. It was a complicated situation. LA needed to win or lose by 4 points or less to make championship weekend. San Francisco needed to win by 8 or more. And if either of those things didn't happen, then the Arizona Sidewinders were going to make the playoffs. It turned out the Falcons beat the Astra by 6, sending Arizona to championship weekend. It seems fitting that these two teams are going to start their 2023 campaigns against each other in the new Southwest Conference. So conference play is a new feature of the WUL this year. There are 4 teams in the Southwest Conference: the LA Astra, San Francisco Falcons, Arizona Sidewinders, and San Diego Superbloom. And 2 of those teams with the best records are going to make it to championship weekend 2023. What a way to start off the season.
Such an exciting game today for the Astra. It looks like we have Amy Lee, Maggie O'Connor, Cam Helm, who used to be on the Sidewinders. This is her first year playing with Astra. Camille Wilson, Jasmine Childress, who's also new to the league, Avalon Igawa, and another player who I can't see right now.
Looks like this is the Astra O-line coming out to start the game. Notably missing a star player from last year, Caitlin Weaver, who is away coaching the UCSB Burning Skirts at Stanford Invite.
Exciting time for Women Ultimate. Falcons with the pull, and it's up. Cam centers to Maggie. Jasmine's with an in-cut, can't get open. Maggie back to Cam, back to Maggie. Handlers are just weaving it right now. Back to Maggie on the sideline. Camille Wilson open for an undercut. Looks like Falcons are doing a little bit of poaching. And Avalon Igawa with a great layout grab to save the disc. Centers it. And Astra's almost to the red zone. And an unfortunate turn. Falcon disc on the 30-yard line. The Falcons boosted immediately. Looks like they might be trying to play a little bit of field position with this wind and weather that we're about to experience here. Avalon picks it up on the sideline. Looks like they're working out of a vertical stack. And Avalon cannot come up with that, but there might be a call on the play. Or there might not be. Jacqueline picking up, centers it. And Falcons are working it, and they're boosting it. It's a deep ball. Knocking on the doorstep. And the Falcons have the first break of the game.
Right away, you can see the sort of swirling winds from the stadium playing a little bit of a role for both teams. Some early miscues that were primarily execution-based. Nice body positioning there by Sam Loop, and then she throws the nice assist to Jacqueline Nguyen.
It looks like Jasmine and Camille were trying to avoid a dangerous play with that one.
So something you noticed early there is the Astra came out in a horizontal stack for their pull play to start that point, and they quickly transitioned into a vert stack, which seems to be the sort of base offense that they were relying on for that point. We'll see what they come out with this time around.
Looks like a similar line from the last one with a couple new faces for Astra. We'll see what defense the Falcons come out in. Avalon centers it to Ava Hanna, who puts it to Maggie O'Connor, who boosts it. Lefty backhand.
Looks like might be a player down. Can't quite see who it is. San Francisco Falcons player went down trying to cap that mark before the O'Connor huck. They're getting some attention from coaches and medical staff. We're having a little bit of a hard time seeing who the player is. They're still getting treated by the medical staff. As soon as we can identify who that is, we'll let you know.
It's so scary when you see those non-contact injuries when people go down. Let's see the replay one more time.
Yeah, so you're going to see this. Ava Hanna throws the disc around to the high side, the flat side of the field to O'Connor, and it looks like that is Eliza Chang, or is that right, Dina?
Or Eliza Pugh.
Yeah. She's trying to cap that mark to stop that break side huck from going off, and just seems to catch the turf and go down. Hopefully she's okay. She's sitting up on the turf now, talking to the medical staff. She's on her feet now and getting help to the sideline. It actually looks like that's Audrey Sheehy, I believe.
Number 15.
Number 15, yeah.
Unfortunate injury for her.
Falcons putting on Jacqueline Nguyen while Sheehy gets help to the sideline. Hopefully she's all right. We'll get you an update on that if we can later in the game.
Looks like it's Falcons disc. And they're working it out of the end zone. Pass goes up to Gina Schumacher, who sends it right back to the handler. They're working it on this third, and they boost it. Jasmine Childress comes up with the D. Callahan winner.
First block in the WUL, probably first of many.
Maggie with an immediate break. Looking for Ava, who also has a cheeky throw back to Maggie. Audrey recenters it to Maggie. And Jasmine now has the disc. Looks like Maggie's going every other. Recenters with a break to Ava Hanna, who's looking with another break to Audrey for a goal.
Really clean, quick handler movement and resets by the Astra offense there. Nice D by Childress here. Goes up and high points the disc. Really impeccable timing that she's really known for. Makes a great clean play to get the block. And you just
watch these breaks.
Yeah, classic break side end zone flow. Talking with Coach Abdullah for the LA Astra before the game, he said one of the keys for his team was to keep the disc moving early. He believes his players and players in general make their best decisions early in the stall count. So they're really prioritizing looking to those resets early in the count. It paid off for them there.
And it looks like we have fresh lines for both of the teams. Except for Audrey. And the pull is up. Falcons receiving the disc. Catching the pull. Up to Eliza Pugh, who centers it to Kara Hammer. Up to Mila Hernandez-Flowerman. And they're trying to center the disc. Just working it up the line. Back to Kara Hammer. Looks like there might be a call on this play.
Maybe a no contest there by the defender.
A foul, no contest. So the disc is going to stay with Eliza Pugh.
Good chance to see this Falcons in-zone offense at work here early in the game.
They have a 4-second pre-stall before the stall comes in, so the offense is allowed to move before they tap it in. And that's an easy goal for Mara Saltzman.
Really nice, clean in-zone offense there from the Falcons after the stop disc. Swing the disc laterally, sideline to sideline, and get nice continuation cuts off the stack. We'll see it right here on the replay. Molly Munson catches the centering pass and hits that continuation cut to Saltzman in the end zone for the goal.
Easy peasy red zone O for the Falcons there.
This Falcons team has a lot of turnover from their 2022 roster. Somewhere around, I think, 20 players departing and 20 new players being integrated into the system. You couldn't tell it from that first offensive point. Really clean flow. Aside from that foul near the end zone line, really not much pressure from Astra there. We'll see if they can make any adjustments.
Falcons with a big pull, inbounds, centering it to Maggie O'Connor. She's a lefty. Look out. Maggie going back to back. Working this weird zone from the Falcons. And a great layout D from the Falcons. Number 42, Jacqueline Nguyen. Jacqueline Wakota centers it. And they're working the full field here.
Nice pressure in the reset space there from Astra.
Astra picks it up at the 50-yard line. It is a 7-second stall, so not a lot of time. Cam Helm and Riley Swift were working it, but the Falcons now have the disc. And a quick turn, give it right back to Astra.
Been some execution errors by Astra here, but I think they're still following their game plan pretty well. They're keeping the disc moving laterally early in the count, looking for continues off that.
Helm to Swift to O'Connor. Can she get there? Of course. She's looking break. Back to Swift, who boosts it. This could be a goal right on the goal line. Swift is looking for something. Back to Maggie O'Connor. Maggie's looking for a goal. And they've got it. 2-2 here.
Great concentration by Riley Swift to keep her eyes on that disc, make a safe play. Good job on the defender, too, to leave that space vacant. She couldn't have really gotten there without making a potentially dangerous play.
Yeah. Here we see it again. Yes, Maggie with the layout. Great save.
O'Connor makes it look easy.
Boosting it to the end zone. Great grab under pressure. Knocking on the doorstep here.
Great job by Swift of following her own huck. She throws that away shot to Sharon Sang, and then is the one who actually gets the reset because she really pursued that throw aggressively. And then she's rewarded by getting the goal.
And yeah, it looked like Nami Sumida could have made a play on that, but it might have been a little sketchy.
Swift is one of the youngest players on the Astra team, but she shows a lot of poise there.
Amy Halverson with the pull. And the Falcons are on O at 2-2. Out of bounds pull. Eliza Pugh picking up at the center of the field. Ava Hanna on the mark. Looks like they're doing a straight up mark. To Gina Schumacher. No one's on her. Ava's now on her. It looks like they're doing a weird junk zone defense. And Falcons are trying to figure out where to go next. Looks like Asher might be getting out of their zone defense and into person defense now. Sally Mims with the disc on the sideline. Centers it. And now Gina has it on the sideline. Looking for a handler. Centers it. Nice layout grab. Also by Mims. Might be a stall call here. I believe that's a no contest.
Yeah.
That 7-second stall is so fast.
All right. Astra's going to have a break chance here.
Ava Hanna to pick up. Centers it. We've got an in cut. Back to centering the disc. An immediate break around. Back to Ava Hanna, who has an IO flick to an in cut. And we have a boost. Unfortunately, the receiver could not come up with it, and now it is Falcons' disc on their own end zone.
A nice effort there by Astra. I think that's a good look by Grimshaw. And they have good field position here to try to get the disc back.
Falcons working it through this zone. Doesn't look like anyone's guarding Mims in particular. Gina Schumacher with the disc, trying to find someone open downfield, and they get someone. And we have a huge hug coming up. And a great D by the Astra.
Looks like Meredith Bile with the block.
Halverson centers it. Now it's back to Halverson. Not looking like a lot of opportunities downfield, so she has to work with the handler. And there's a D. Great D by Eliza Pugh. Falcons are knocking on the doorstep here. Oh, and that's a goal for the Falcons. Maggie O'Connor almost came up with that one.
Not as clean of an offensive point as the Falcons' last one, but they are able to work it pretty easily in that end zone set and get a nice easy cut to the live side cone there.
Here's the Astra D. Great positioning there. Unfortunately, they could not come up with that. And then Melina Wiebe with the second chance opportunity here.
Patty Anderson and Wiebe were on the same page the whole time there after really a great D by Eliza Pugh working in that handler space. You know, both teams are sort of switching up their defense a little bit as we've progressed here in this first quarter, throwing some junk looks and zone looks. So far, both have been fairly successful in generating some high-pressure situations and turnovers on both sides.
Yes, it looked like the Falcons' handlers were a little bit stifled there, but their downfielders were quite open, so it's great that they were able to find those opportunities. Now we have Maggie O'Connor with the disc in the center of the field with an IO flick to Jasmine Childress, who then puts it to Camille. And Astra's just working it down the field. Stephanie Pritchard with the disc. Finds Maggie O'Connor. The handlers are just weaving it here.
Oh.
And Avalon Igawa with an unfortunate and uncharacteristic drop here. Falcons have a chance. And another drop. Maggie's telling the field to calm down. Let's make sure we get this one in there. Centers it to Riley Swift. Back to Maggie O'Connor. Back to Swift. They're just working the sideline. Just playing catch back and forth to each other. And Falcons come up with a D. Number 26, Julia Mankoff. She wanted it deep too. She's got it now on the sideline and centers it to Annie Chen. Back to Chen. They might have called a timeout. I see slap on the field.
It looks like a timeout. It'll be interesting to see what types of personnel changes both teams decide to make here. You know, one thing that you could notice on that point is both teams seem to really be prioritizing keeping that disc moving quickly. For Astra, they're following that game plan that they've been pursuing this entire quarter. The issue they seem to be running into here is they're getting great movement, but they're just having little execution miscues, and that maybe is partially a byproduct of this swirly stadium wind, maybe also partially a byproduct of the pressure of the Falcons' defense tightening up some of those spaces that they're trying to attack, those small handler spaces.
Yes, Mankoff had an amazing defensive run-through block on that one. And you can tell the Falcons want to punch this one in and get a 2-point lead for this first quarter. There's only 57 seconds left in this first quarter.
It looks as though both teams have switched their lines. Astra sending out the D unit, and it appears to be a primarily O-line squad out there for the Falcons.
Anderson with the disc. Centers it to Saltzman, who then gives it to Hernandez-Flowerman, who then centers it to Munson. The Falcons are just taking their time. Back to Anderson. This vertical stack isn't getting a lot of yards, but they're possessing the disc. Munson with it. Passes it to Pugh. Back to Munson. Looking for the goal. And they've got it. That's Wiebe with another goal for the Falcons.
Wiebe finished as the highest goal scorer at the World Ultimate Club Championships last summer in 2022. He's clearly not a stranger to the end zone and scoring a lot of goals. Really nice end zone offense there by the Falcons. You can see that slashing cut to the live side there from the front of the stack. Forces an overcommit from the mark and then opens up the cut to that opposite corner by Wiebe. Great throw by Munson as well. Really good touch throwing into what maybe seems to be a slightly downwind corner of the field right now.
The Falcons with the pull. Astra coming out. Down 2 points. They center it to Avalon-Igawa, who throws a break to Maggie O'Connor. Looking for Jasmine Childress, and she's got her. And Astra boosts it to the end zone to Camille.
So we don't play buzzer beaters in the WUL. It's the team that has possession gets to keep it until they either score or turn it over. Childress says, no, a buzzer beater seems fun to me. Puts up a nice shot to a well-timed deep cut from Wilson for a really important hold there for Astra, really taking back some of that momentum that they had lost there towards the end of the first quarter. Jasmine gets it on the flat side. Nice shot right back to the middle of the field. Wilson with the great read. Keeps her eye on the disc the whole time as it's floating pretty much straight over her head.
Yeah, her target had two defenders beat.
Opposing defenses have a hard job to shut down Childress. She's not only a really impressive cutter, who can high point the disc, unlike most players in the league. Here she's demonstrating her throwing prowess with a really nice touch shot to Wilson. Astra's got to feel pretty good about ending the quarter like that after maybe a couple of points where they were losing some momentum to the Falcons, having some small execution issues, maybe not handling that pressure that the Falcons were putting on some of their cutters downfield and handlers.
I think the Falcons have to feel good as like a somewhat new team with a bunch of new players who mostly play in the mixed division. I think it's so cool to see them gelling together, to getting these turns and getting these goals. This first quarter has been incredible to watch. A lot of defensive pressure and a lot of offensive boosts. So it's been fun.
I had the chance to talk with Sean Webb, one of the coaches for the Falcons, before the game. And I talked to them a little bit about the team's preseason. He mentioned that there was a lot of roster turnover, as we've alluded to earlier in the quarter. And he mentioned that the team's been really intentional about trying to get a lot of reps together to build chemistry, trying to figure out what their identity is and what their mission is for the season, so that they can really build that chemistry and cohesion every point of every game. And I feel like they've got to be pretty pleased with how they look this first quarter, given that it's many of these players' first time playing on the same team as each other, including two sisters, Eliza Chang and Midi Chang. They've been playing against each other since 2014, but this is their first time being on the same team, playing Ultimate together in really serious competition.
Looks like Falcons will be receiving in the second quarter. Halverson with the pull.
Astra with the pull.
And it's a deep one. Pugh with the grab, centers it. Back to Pugh. And Astra was again coming out in some sort of a junk zone. And now they're putting it into person defense. Falcons have it on the sideline with Kara Hammer, who centers it. And Amy Halverson, or who's that?
I think that's right.
Now Astra has the disc. They're taking it on the sideline.
Ava Hanna picks up for Astra. Looking for someone. There's not a lot of movement downfield, so she centers it. And Astra's working out of a vertical stack. Falcons playing person defense. There might be a stall on the play.
Stall call. Observer coming over.
Here's a replay of the D coming up. Sick layout.
Anderson tries to get it to Munson, but Halverson makes up the ground. Huge bid to get the block.
No stall. Astra still with the disc.
Ava Hanna with it. And she boosts it. No surprise there, if you know Ava Hanna. And Halverson grabs it. Uses that height. Let's see if they can punch it in on the end zone line. Still working it.
Sounds like a timeout.
Or a violation call.
Oh, yeah.
Pick call.
Or a pick. Okay, we have a pick call.
And a timeout.
We've got everything.
Look out, folks. Well, talk about an incredible point for Amy Halverson. Really trying to hype her teammates up by getting the huge layout block, making the nice, well-timed deep cut, and coming up big, getting her team in the red zone with a chance to start the second quarter with a break. This could just keep that momentum rolling for Astra that they ended the first quarter with. If you're Halverson, you've got to hope that that Coach Abdullah keeps you out there for this one. Hopefully you can finish this one off with a score.
Yeah, she got the layout D, and she got up for that big huck. She seems amped.
You know, it actually seems like Abdullah is gonna keep most or all of the same line out there. Maybe a little bit unusual in the WUL where timeouts give each team the option to sub off there, right?
Yeah, you could sub all 7 players, but they're keeping most of them in. Ava Hanna looks like she's going to pick up the disc.
It's early season, and making a choice like this as a coach, you might really build a lot of confidence in your D-line later in the season that they can use.
It's like Audrey Brown's at the front. Oh, and we got an immediate goal. I thought it was going to go to Audrey.
Well, the trust paid off, and Astra gets the break. The defense makes the end zone offense look easy and punches in the break to start the second quarter.
Fooled me too, so let's see it again. Here's the huck to Halverson with the sky.
2 defenders making a nice play on the disc, but Halverson just sure-handed there.
Here's the oven cut for the goal.
So that's a really simple action there on your end zone set out of a dead disc. Is just attack up line from the handler space. You might notice that they put Bile in that spot, one of the fastest straight line players on this Astra team. Not a bad person to put in that position. Hey, beat your defender to the cone. We'll hit you with a nice pass. Makes it look easy.
Ava Hanna with the pull for Astra.
And the pull is on for Astra. Falcons to receive.
Falcons take it at about the 30-yard line. Center it to Munson. He then puts it to Mims. Falcons are working it. Saltzman puts it downfield. Schumacher's got it. Puts it to Hernandez-Flowerman. And Falcons just want to take their time, make sure that they get this goal. Working it with the handlers, making sure every cut is an option. And unfortunate, Mims could not get to that one. Now Astra has a chance for a break. Ava Hanna to pick up on their goal line. Astra's about to center it. Back to Hannah. To Brown. And Astra boosts it, but Falcons are there. Saltzman with the D, who then puts it to Sally Mims. Schumacher with the disc. Falcons are working it. They go big with an IO forehand that just cannot connect. Naomi Guzman to pick up for Astra. They've got the full 80 to go. Immediate break throw. I think that there's a foul call on that throw. Guzman with the disc. Looks like it's coming in on 0. And they have 4-second pre-stall to keep moving. Handlers are trying to work it. Does not look like there's a lot going on downfield. Falcons come up with the D. Pugh with it. Centers it. Falcons have Falcons have time, but Ava Hanna says no. Hanna with the breakthrough to Brown. Brown with the boost.
Lots of great defense on this point.
Here comes the layout D. She read that. Sorry, Gina.
Really nice job of Agawa to make a safe play there, too, coming in from a somewhat awkward angle.
Oh, was it Evelyn? Astra's disc. Ava Hanna picking up. Not a lot of movement downfield. Looks like they might be calling a timeout.
Yeah, I mean, the legs have got to be tired after this long point with quite a few turnovers. You know, one thing you kind of notice on that point is San Francisco is starting to make some adjustments to that Astra vert stack. A couple of possessions ago, Schumacher peels off the stack where the person she's matching up against is standing, goes and mucks up that lane and causes a turnover. It's one of the reasons why Astra is wanting to really focus on that quick handler movement. If that disc stays static, playing a vert stack, it's really pretty easy for a defense to sort of play a surround poachy defense and shut down the downfield movement. So let's see if Astra has an adjustment to that sort of counter punch that the Falcons have thrown at them.
Looks like Astra's putting in a new line of folks. That was a long point that had to be exhausting for those players. Ava Hanna was all over that with D's and breaks. Great throws.
Right off the bat, Astra's moving away from that vert stack. They're in somewhat of a horizontal stack. They've got the two cutters on the near side more in a sort of split stack hugging the sideline. Those two cutters on the far side are more spread like a traditional horizontal stack. Maybe look to O'Connor as the first action here for their set play.
Igawa starting with the disc. Looks like Maggie O'Connor and Jasmine Childress are the two isolated players in the split stack. Maggie O'Connor gets it with the in cut, looking for Childress.
Oh.
Unfortunate doink there. Looks like she was going the opposite direction of the disc a little bit. Falcons have the disc, and they're working it. Meaty Chang. Up to Jacqueline Nguyen. And that's a goal for Nami Sumida.
Great counterattack by the Falcons after that turnover by Astra. They were working the disc up that flat side of the field. Every time they caught it, they were making a really aggressive pump fake for that around throw, forcing those marks to overcommit and hitting the insides. Really putting a lot of pressure on the defense there. Those big pump fakes opening it all up. And Sumida gets the goal.
And the crowd's getting excited. Let's give it up for our Astra team.
A lot of traffic there, but they still came up with the disc.
We're out here supporting y'all and supporting all
Falcons 5, Astra 4. Got 6 minutes left in this second quarter. Plenty of game left.
of course, going to be so many more games, and we can't wait for you all to support.
It'll be interesting to see if Astra makes a more permanent adjustment to this, to the Falcons potentially poaching off that vert stack. They either need to run more horizontal or just keep that disc moving laterally through the handlers a little bit more, make those poaches more difficult to execute.
Picking it up on the sideline. Astra centers it to Helm. And they're working that break side, really trying to get it over there. Helm with it on the sideline again, looking for Maggie O'Connor. Maggie's looking downfield, now looking for a dump, gets one. Back to O'Connor. And maybe some sort of an injury called. Yep.
O'Connor was working hard there, going every other.
She's been going every other most of the game.
I like what Astra's doing on this offensive possession there. They're working through those resets pretty early, and they're getting really nicely timed continuation cuts from the stack. Sort of just windshield wiping back and forth across the field laterally.
Avalon Agawa picking up in place of Maggie O'Connor. Immediate to Swift, who then gets it to Pritchard. Back to Swift. So vertical stack is looking a little bit clustered, and the handlers just can't work it out, and it's now Falcons disc. Falcons going with a fast break here. Meaty Chang with the disc. Gets an IO inside off to Marlena Lure. And we have a boost from Meaty Chang. And Jasmine Childress says no.
Children says no.
Great defensive block.
It's a letter job. It's roofing.
Childress, great body positioning.
Goes up early.
Yeah, able to go up early. She makes such clean plays on the disc and still manages to high point it almost every time.
Pritchard with an in cut. Childress with a bomb going deep. And Falcons come up with the D. Sam Loop with the disc for the Falcons on the end zone line. Got to work at the full 80, and they're boosting it. Will Childress get another D? Just going to block out the space.
She's not stat hunting. She could have gotten a hand or two on that one, I think. Her presence in the space, though.
Yeah, not necessary. Igawa picks up to Childress. Pritchard goes deep. They decide on the in cut, and now boost it to Pritchard. And great D from Schumacher.
Kind of see some similar tactics here. Both teams having some of their better deep space athletes sort of baiting these deep shots. Schumacher gives a little bit of space, tempts the thrower, and then once it's in the air says, "Oh, I'm here."
A little over 3 minutes left in the second quarter. Falcons have it on their sideline. Full 80 to go. Gina Schumacher with the disc. A lot of pressure from Astra here. Falcons are really going to have to work for it. The handlers are just working it. And I think they called a timeout.
Great timing there by Slap to potentially save possession. Oh, it looks like the Falcons came down with it, actually. Put my foot in my mouth there.
Yep, Sam Loop would have had 40-yard gainer there. This does seem like a very long point, though. A lot of Ds. There's Ava Hanna's D. Here's Childress's in the end zone saying nope. And Schumacher with the lefty D.
For such a long point, defenses on both sides were applying a lot of pressure. Astra almost got a couple of blocks on this possession before this timeout was called. So tired legs, but they're putting out a lot of effort to try to get that disc back. Looks like they're putting on the D-line, give offense a little bit of a break here.
We have another winner for our raffle, Carla Brady.
That Ava Hanna layout was incredible to see it yet again.
Great heads-up play.
Amazing historic match, and we're back from our timeout. Falcons with the disc.
Patty Anderson picking up for the Falcons. Marty Martinez on the mark. 7 seconds. Working it down the line to Rachel Clarkson. And we have another Astra D in the end zone.
Astra says no.
Even with the timeout, this is a long point.
These two teams are grinding.
A little bit of contact there, but seems like it may have been sort of incidental after the block occurred, and both players seem to think it was a fair bid.
Astra with an unfortunate first throw turn, and Falcons now have a chance to take a 2-point lead. Patty Anderson picking up on the sideline. Marty Martinez on the mark. They center it to Kara Hammer, who puts it to Mila Hernandez-Flowerman, and Falcons get the goal.
They've been really disciplined in their end zone offense so far in this game, and I think in large part that has sort of shifted things in their favor. They're really valuing the disc, looking at those resets early, really nicely timed cuts from the stack to relieve pressure on those handlers when needed.
Great defensive pressure there.
That's Bile there making up some ground. It's like the defender fell there. And Hernandez-Flowerman's able to get loose and make the catch on the goal line and throw the assist.
To Weeby, who has scored so many.
Let's go.
Looks like we're getting a first-hand experience that Weeby scores goals.
Astra picks it up on the sideline. Helm centers it to Maggie O'Connor, who's back in. Avalon Iganawa cannot complete that pass, and now the Falcons have the disc. with a short field to go. Falcons working it with an IO. And it's in. That's another goal.
Well, they seem to be getting pretty comfortable with each other on offense here. A saucy inside high release flick kind of opened up that throw to the second layer.
That was a great touch throw and a very quick point for the Falcons.
High release there to Jacqueline Nguyen.
This is the great touch IO.
Really nice throw there to Annie Chen. Chen did a really great job there of sort of chiseling her cut back to the middle of the field to open up that break side throwing lane for Nguyen to lead her into space. If she tries to make that cut from the sideline instead of clearing back to the middle first, the defender is going to have a much better play on that disc. Because they are both patient, they take the defender out of it completely and play a little bit of catch.
Falcons with the pull. Astra has it at about the 40-yard line. Brown to Igawa. Childress, who comes up with it despite a little bobble there. And Astra just seems a little bit flustered right now. Pritchard just cannot come up with that low throw from Childress, and Falcons now have the disc again. And they're going fast down the field. Schumacher with the disc, looking for a dump. Gets one with Mankoff. Mankoff has Watauka, who has Mankoff, who has Schumacher. Not getting a lot of yards, but still maintaining the disc. Oh, and Schumacher with an unfortunate turn. Maggie O'Connor might have had something to say with that on the mark. O'Connor centers it. And sounds like they have someone alone. It's Pritchard in the end zone. Pritchard comes up with that huck. Passes it to Childress. Childress tries a visionary throw, and the defense reads it. And I think that's the end of the half.
Unlike the first quarter, Astra's not able to come up with that goal with the last possession for the second half. Maybe just a little bit of a rush decision there from Childress. Her cutter had space, but there were two Falcon defenders in the vicinity, and they had their heads up and got their hand on the disc. Couldn't quite see who that was, but really nice heads-up play.
And that's halftime. Falcons up 7-4. It's cool to see how well the Falcons are gelling despite like all of the turnover on their team and the amount of like new players that they have.
It really is. I almost feel as this game's gone on that we've seen them start to click and mesh a little bit better together. They really have seemed to be on the same page, knowing what their offensive system is, what their priorities should be, the sort of throw progressions that they should be looking for when they have the disc. And it's made their counterattacking and end-zone offense really effective at the end of the half.
I think the junk defenses that they've been throwing at the Astra have also been kind of giving them a little bit of issues.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like Astra's sort of mode of operation first half was start in a horizontal stack to run some sort of pull play and then transition into that vert and really rely on their quick handler movement. And those junks have just been sort of taking them out of their plan A and generating a little bit of unexpected pressure. And they'll probably talk about that during halftime and see if there are ways that they might be able to sort of adapt and keep their composure in the face of those junk looks.
And we are now at halftime here. And we might have some package for everybody to see some sick highlights. Hopefully.
We'll be back in a few minutes.
We believe that women and non-binary athletes deserve to be seen and our abilities showcased for the world to see.
We believe in perpetuating Ultimate by establishing professional teams and developing future generations of players.
We believe players of all identities and backgrounds deserve an equal opportunity to be recognized and lauded for our achievements in our sport.
We believe
in sustainably and responsibly creating equitable and accessible avenues for women and non-binary athletes to join and participate in our sport.
We believe that being transparent,
open,
and responsive to criticism is critical,
and that there should always be space
to fix our mistakes, grow,
and be better.
We are the Western Ultimate League.
This includes access to gender-affirming health care, the right to raise a family, and the freedom to express one's gender as they see fit.
While the Ultimate community can be a supportive space, it is important to acknowledge that the many people within our community come from a place of socioeconomic privilege. We highlight this because the best way to support the trans community is by financially contributing to organizations that are working to fight for their rights on a larger scale. If you have the means, we encourage you to donate to organizations such as the Trevor Project, the Trans Lifeline, or our own local LA LGBT Center. We also suggest donating your time by calling legislators to advocate against the onslaught of harmful bills, a full list of which can be found on the ACLU's website. Thank you so much, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the game.
Yes. Trans lives matter. Trans lives matter. Trans lives matter.
Welcome back to the second half of the LA Astra versus SF Falcons game.
To give you a little bit of context here before we start the second half, this is the first day of the WUL 2023 regular season. And there was some action across the league at the Sidewinder Showdown in Arizona.
Day one.
And teams, the other two teams in the Southwest Conference with the LA Astra and the SF Falcons played games today. There was a rematch of the 2022 championship game between the San Diego Super Bloom and Seattle Tempest. Tempest took that one 17-13 earlier today. And there was a rematch of the 2022 third place game between the Arizona Sidewinders and the Oregon Onyx. Arizona won that one 14-12. So in the Southwest Conference, we've got Arizona at 1-0, the favorite San Diego Super Bloom at 0-1. And we've got this great matchup here between San Francisco and LA. We'll see who's going to come out 1-0 and who's going to come out 0-1.
Falcons pull it. Astra to pick up. Maggie O'Connor centers it to Avalon Igawa, who has a breakside throw to Jasmine Childress on the sideline. Looking to recenter it to Cam Helm. And Falcons come up with a D, but I think that there's a foul in the throw. No contest. Childress with the disc at a 0 stall. They have a 4-second pre-stall where players can move downfield.
You know, it's not clear if it's intentional, but the Astra had their vert stack set up pretty far laterally from the thrower here, maybe trying to create that inside break throwing lane. But that distance between the thrower and the resets is potentially going to give the Falcons some chances to make some plays on the disc.
Amazing catch indeed. For sure and saying. Unfortunately, Falcons now have the disc. And they're quickly working it down the field. Julia Mankoff. Ooh. Kind of a crazy play there. It looked like a lot of players were trying to avoid each other.
Maybe a stall call as well.
It does look like a stall. All right, Astra with the disc. Maggie O'Connor walking to the disc, letting the Astra set up in their vertical stack. And a great in cut for Astra. Back to Maggie. Astra working it, and they boost it deep to Camille Wilson. Will she come up with it? And there's a D by the Falcons. That might have been Lily Stepanitis with the D.
Really nice play there by the Falcons. It's a shame on that hook. O'Connor was streaking from the handler space up to break side, pretty much unmarked. Thrower just didn't see her, unfortunately.
I love those sneaky plays. Falcons working it, immediately centering it to Jackie Wynn. Almost, Avalonigawa almost gets a D, but Falcons come up with it, and they're working it with their handlers. And we have a boost going deep, and it's a turn. Astra has to work the full 80 back up the field. Maggie O'Connor is picking it up.
Meaty Chang has not been afraid to uncork those lefty backhand hucks for the Falcons D-line, and even when they're not completed, they're effective because they're switching the field and putting pressure on the Astra offense.
I think it has been working a lot, too, like surprisingly well.
Yeah,
the field position play for them. And Astra with a turn. Falcons take it on the sideline. That was a good spirit to wait for their defender to get back up. Meaty Chang going down the line. And a nice one to Lily Stepanitis.
Meaty Chang pulled that one out of a deep bag of tricks, I would say. That was a sort of barbecue lefty, inside-out backhand. A lot of shape, but just perfect placement. And
let's see it again. Here's the D by Stepanitis. Just gets the fingers on it. Camille cannot come up with it. And there's Meaty with the shake and bake. Lefty, you're right, lefty IO backhand.
She's thrown that one a few times before. That's not an easy throw in that fairly tight space. Most people would fear sort of throwing that so close to the sideline, but Chang, the absolute dime.
Yeah, I'd be so scared of Camille Wilson D'ing that, but know your offender, I guess.
I think one thing that seems to be standing out in the end of the second quarter and starting this third quarter is those Chang hucks are allowing the Falcons defense to get set with a full 80 yards between Astra and the end zone they're trying to score in. And every time the Astra turn it, the Falcons are picking it up and getting into their offense in under 2 seconds. So we see a really different pace between a turnover and the counterattack.
Yes, they have been quick to set up. Now Astra has the disc starting on O. Working it with the handlers right now. Centering it. This vertical stack has been struggling a little bit, I won't lie. Looks a little bit of a cluster, and they can't figure out who that was to. Falcons picking up. Munson with the disc. Gets it to Mankoff. Looks like there's a call. I think it's a pick.
I think you're right. It looks like it didn't affect.
Staying with number 27, Clarkson. Sorry about that. Munson has it to Schumacher. Back to Munson. Falcons just playing in the middle of the field. Jacqueline Wakata gives it back to Gina Schumacher, who dumps it to Sumida. Sumida's looking for a dump. Maggie O'Connor almost gets that D. But they slice it through to Munson, who then hucks it deep. And the Falcons might have another goal. Oh, I think there's a stall called. Way back on Sumida.
You can't really see it on the broadcast, but Rachel Clarkson, number 27 for the Falcons, and Gina Schumacher are driving really aggressively on their deep cuts with the intention of driving them back under and opening up a lot of space.
I would say that's Gina Schumacher's specialty. Was just grinding the unders.
Putting a lot of pressure on that Astra D.
Maggie O'Connor with the disc. Gina Schumacher has the poach D in that lane. But Maggie finds Stephanie Pritchard, who's able to find a dump, who then unfortunately throws a turn. Falcons pick it up. It's Munson with the disc to Clarkson on the sideline. To Sumida. And they're questioning if she's in bounds right now. Does look a little out, but she might have walked out. I believe the observers make active in and out calls.
I believe that's right.
And I think that's a timeout for Falcons.
I mean, really, the thing that's changed this game, it seems, is that the Falcons have started to poach really aggressively off of that Los Angeles vert stack, and it's generating blocks, but it's also having the mental effect, it seems, of forcing Astra players to sort of second guess their cuts and second guess whether a cutter that seems open actually is open, and maybe just forcing them into some unforced turnovers. I think the thing that's maybe going to determine whether they can bounce back or not is if they're going to stick with those tactics and try to focus on working more through the handlers and avoiding those areas that are poached, or if they're going to try something new and play out of that horizontal stack more.
Looks like we have a defensive line in now for Astra. Mitch Steiner is talking with that line, trying to figure out what they're going to do. Amy Halverson's in. Ava Hanna's in. Naomi Guzma's in. We'll see if they can get a block. Falcons picking up on the sideline. And they might have a similar line that was already playing in. Patty Anderson with the disc.
Patty Anderson's a captain, one of the holdovers from last year's team. Clearly they trust her a lot, having her pick up after these dead discs.
Immediate hug to the end zone. Halverson comes up with the D. Centers it to Ava Hanna. Unfortunate turf. Let's see if Falcons can punch it in here. They're just 20 yards out. Patty Anderson with the disc. And Halverson tries to get the layout D, but it's just out of reach. And Falcons force it. Another unfortunate turn. Astra has now a chance to make it 5-8. They have to go the full 80. Naomi Guzman picking up.
Let's see if they can react to these poaches with this possession.
Looks like they're staying with the vert stack. They center it to Ava Hanna. Halverson back to Hanna. Great in cut. And they're grinding the unders. Astra has some open dumps, but there might have been a bump on that mark.
B. Grimshaw really opened that up.
Open dump in Ava Hanna, but I think that there's some sort of a violation call. Might be the 4-second pre-stall. Has some people a little bit messed up. All right, disc in with Naomi Guzman, who centers it to Ava Hanna. to Halverson, who wants it deep but doesn't have anyone. Back to Guzman. Falcons are really fronting these in cuts on the vertical stack. Halverson throws a deep shot on the break side and gets it. Guzman also looking break, gets Ava Hanna, who's just out of bounds, unfortunately. Falcons go deep immediately, but Astra's there with the D. Hanna picking up. Looking. Throws the break. Gets it. Back to Hanna. Only once at break side. Unfortunately out of bounds, and now it's Falcons' disc.
Another long point here.
Falcons in a horizontal stack. Working it with their handlers. Sally Mims with the disc. Gets it to Hammer. Who gets it to Saltzman. Who gets it to Wiebe. They're working it under on the fourth side, it looks like. Another open under player. It's Hammer, who centers it back to a handler, who puts it on the break side to Wiebe. Hernandez Flowerman centers it to Hammer. And it might be a stall call on that one. The 7-second stall, so fast.
Might have been a product of, this is about a 15-yard gain there to Kara Hammer, excuse me. And the stack was a little bit deep. The resets were a little bit too far in the backfield for her to get an easy reset.
Hammer with it. Gets it to Pugh. Back to Hammer. They're 8 feet away, and they get the goal to Wiebe again. Wiebe is on fire tonight. And it's San Francisco 9, LA Astra 4.
San Francisco has not let up, and thus far, the Astra haven't really seemed to figure out this poaching defense off their vert stack. As you mentioned, the Falcons are really pressuring a lot of those underneath cuts as well. Wiebe with the horizontal cut to the live side cone. A tough throw, but really well executed in a tight space. Biles right there, but just can't quite get there.
6:18, you know what I mean? It's time to come down and get your raffle prize. 560.
And there's 1 minute and 14 seconds left in this third quarter. Plenty of time left. Falcons with the pull. And it's caught and centered to Helm, who puts it Iota Childress in the middle of the stack, finds Maggie O'Connor downfield for once. Looks like they're doing a sort of box and one on O'Connor. Kim Helm completely unguarded. Pritchard unable to come down with that one, and now it's Falcons' disc. Falcons working it, putting it on the break side. And cannot come down with that one. Is that Mankoff? Maggie O'Connor to pick up. She's got options. Those handlers are working it. Cam Helm has it. Back to Swift. To O'Connor. To Swift. To O'Connor. Oh, Pritchard bobbles it. And it's Falcons' disc. Falcons moving it quickly with the handlers. Like you said, they're not giving much time for Astra to figure out a defense. And Falcons score another one down the line.
That's
Just four side.
That's going to end our third quarter, too. So Falcons taking a lot of momentum into the fourth.
10-4. Oof.
Well, I mean, you have to say that the Falcons, they're well coached, and Slap and Sean Webb have really kept the Astra offense guessing. They change it up. The poaching defense off the vert stack had been working for them. Instead of giving the Astra another chance to adjust, why not come out in a different junk look, force them to do something different as they're adjusting to your counter, and take advantage.
6-4-6. It's time for you to pick up your prize.
It seems like Falcons are scoring every chance that they're able to. Anytime Astra makes any mistake, Falcons are punching it in very quickly, not giving Astra much hope.
That might be something for Astra to focus on moving forward in the season is, if teams are going to try to fast break on you every time your offense turns it over, you need to be able to adjust a little bit more quickly maybe. That's something that you probably can't figure out on your own in practices until you have this type of high-pressure situation where a team plays in a different way than what you're expecting and what you're used to. Lucky for them, they have a long season to try to figure this out. Starting right now in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, day one, game one.
Come to the merchant and pick up your prize for the raffle. 5-6-4. What's the score for you?
It seems like Falcons have really figured out the Astra vertical stack and their little poachy defensive pressure is really getting in the Astra's head. Anytime they think they have an open player, they don't.
Maggie O'Connor played a little bit more of a hybrid role last year on Astra. Dangerous thrower, but played a little bit more downfield as a cutter, getting to that second level past the first layer of the defense and finding continuation cutters in those one-on-one isolation spaces where she can really be damaging. Tonight, at least, she's been in the handler space, going every other, being a really important player for the Astra offense. You have to wonder if this is personnel related, maybe the absence of Caitlin Weaver, maybe figuring things out early in the season. But
yeah, the Astra have a lot of new players as well. And I think Maggie was trying to play more downfield that last point, but, one turn and then you're out of position.
Yeah. You're right to point out that there's not a lot of continuity on Astra. Fewer players have turned over than for the Falcons, but new coaching staff, definitely a handful of new players and players departing. So they're figuring things out on the fly as well.
Astra pulling to start this fourth quarter. It's inbounds on the sideline. Pugh picks it up and centers it. Patty Anderson back to Pugh. Pugh not really having a lot of options there. And it might have been a stall, but it's definitely a turn. Ava Hanna picking up. Wanting to dump it. Gets it. And Brown's looking for the break and gets it. Brown's going every other now. And throws an IO break side flick that just can't connect to Ava Hanna. And now Falcons are on O. Patty Anderson, I thought she was going to pick up, but it's Molly Munson. Munson immediately gets fouled. No contest. All right, Munson with the disc.
Ooh, big collision. It looked like Bile, the handler defender, was trying to close down on Anderson there as Anderson moved up line. Just sort of a case of momentum going in the opposite direction and really unfortunate. collision. Hopefully they're both okay. Looks like they are.
It does look like they're all right. Both are staying in. Back to Munson with the disc. 4-second pre-stall. And we have Pugh with the disc. Oh, a hand block, but it's continued. Nice. Kara Hammer with the disc. Astra's defense is looking crazy stifling right now, and they come up with the block. Hannah to pick up. They're in the vertical stack again. Looking for that break side. Gets an IO off. Looking for Hannah for the dump. Gets Hannah. Hannah with a huge flick. Looking for Halverson in the end zone. And a lot of contact there. Halverson calls the foul. It looks like no contest from Kara Hammer.
Astra D-line's offense looks pretty clean. A little bit of a contested throw there from Hannah, but you've got one of your better deep receivers cutting into that space with body positioning, and it works out for Astra. Let's see if they can punch it in.
Halverson has it on the end zone line. Dumps it to Bile.
Oh.
And sadly, it's dropped right on the end zone line. Falcons with the disc. Molly Munson picking up, walking it up. Munson gets an IO off. And the handlers. Oh, great sneaky D there. Astra comes up with the D on the end zone line. Ava Hannah picking up. Looking break. Throws a four-side flick to Halverson. Halverson dumps it. And Astra gets a goal. Bile with the goal for Astra. 5-10.
The Astra D-line offense and the end zone there looked a little bit clogged up. They managed to punch it in thanks to Bile's incredible straight line speed. What you have to like if you're an Astra fan out there is the defensive pressure that they're applying to the Falcons right now. Grimshaw jumping out into that space while guarding a reset. It's a really nice place to poach from if you're playing defense. It's hard for that thrower to see you in the peripherals, but you can jump out and try to get a hand on a disc as it's being thrown sort of wide towards the sidelines.
It looked like whoever made the four-side cut there took two defenders with them, which opened up the break side for Bile to get that goal. 8 minutes and 50 seconds left in this fourth quarter. San Francisco 10, Astra 5.
Let's see how San Francisco responds to this ramped up pressure that we're seeing from the Astra defense. Something in the huddle from the into the third quarter seems to have made an impression, and you're seeing a lot of effort from the Astra players right now to put pressure on the handlers for the Falcons.
Childress with the pull. Falcons picking up. And looks like Astra's in some sort of a junk. And Camille Wilson comes out with a huge D. Childress picks it up, is looking for Camille, and gets her. That was such a fast goal for Astra. That's exactly what they need right now. Great defensive pressure.
You can kind of see these teams are both really comfortable when they're able to fast break and move quickly after a turn, while the O-line of the other team is still transitioning in their mindset and positioning from O to D, trying to get those quick scores before they can even get established. Great block by Wilson.
Camille Wilson is so fast, I can't even tell you.
You know, this is the same shot that Childress took at the end of the third quarter that got tipped by a Falcon defender. Almost got tipped again there. She put a little bit more shape on it this time and rewards Wilson with that great S cut. She drives that cut to the right side of the field and then back towards the left side, taking her defender out of position so that Childress can lead her into space.
Looks like a similar line to last one, staying in. Childress with the pull for Astra. think it's out of bounds.
Seeing a little life out of Astra. Let's see if Falcons can respond to this increased pressure that we're seeing from Astra, jumping into these handler lanes around the disc.
Munson with the discs. Gets an immediate in-cut from Marlena Allure, who then hits Mila Hernandez-Flowerman. And Munson, an unfortunate drop. Igawa is streaking. O'Connor decides to play it cool. Hits an open in-cut. And Falcons come up with a D. It's Weeby.
That was a really important D by Weeby. Player about to get power position, maybe get another quick goal if she doesn't get a hand on that.
Patty Anderson picks up and gets Weeby, who then gets Flowerman Hernandez. Looking back for Weeby. Or not for Weeby. Gets Marlena Lure for the goal.
I think you're right. She might have been targeting Weeby. Weeby swung the disc from the sideline to the middle of the field and took off. Kind of an unexpected cut that some teams will use. You throw that dump, instead of staying in the reset space, go goalwards. You're a goal-scoring threat if you're Weeby, so put pressure on the defense. Great block by Weeby. Throw maybe just came up a little late. You can see Weeby go from the handler space there after the disc moves from the sideline, but it's a slight overthrow. Lucky for her, Marlena Lure was there to clean it up. Pretty visionary throw there. Trying to hit Weeby on that.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be a highlight anyways. And most importantly for the Falcons, it temporarily stops that momentum that Astra had been gaining at the beginning of this fourth quarter.
Falcons with the pull. Astra gets it.
And the Falcons pull is out of bounds.
In the center of the field, about the 45. And Swift is going to pick it up. It looks like they're coming out in a horizontal stack this time. Maggie O'Connor streaking deep. Stephanie Pritchard coming in. Cam Helm gets it down the line. Recenters it to Swift. And it looks like this horizontal stack is working out a little bit better for Astra than the vertical. Cam Helm with the disc on the sideline. And I think that there's going to be some sort of an injury for Meaty Chang here. Might have just gotten her cleat stuck in the turf. Just a little bit of shake and bake there from the handler. Hopefully Meaty's okay. Annie Chen in place of Meaty.
About 15 yards out from the end zone right now. Oh, it's going back to Helm, so more like, I don't know, call it 22 yards.
Helm with the disc on the sideline. Jacqueline Nguyen on the mark. Pritchard is her dump, going oven, gets it. Does not have a lot of options downfield. Back to Helm. Back to Pritchard with that sneaky inside throw. There's a pick in this vertical stack.
The emphasis that Astra is placing on moving the disc quickly is paying off.
Vertical stack in the end zone. Stephanie gives it back to Cam, who gives it back to Pritchard. Looking for that break side throw. Swift has it. And Astra scored. It's Camille Wilson with the goal. LA Astra 7, San Francisco Falcons 11.
Well, if you're Astra, that's a much-needed hold.
It does seem like they came out of that fourth quarter with a lot more defensive fire.
Get that defense back on the field. there's 6 minutes left in this quarter. That's plenty of time if you're Astra. You're fast breaking every time the Falcons turn it over to give yourself a chance to work your way back into this game.
I think them switching up the lines helped a lot too. It seems like the different personnel are taking on different roles, and it's working for Astra.
Grimshaw is out there again. She got that block jumping off of the handler she was guarding into the downfield throwing lane a couple of points ago. Really good combination of quickness and field awareness from Grimshaw to generate those types of blocks and also to keep the offense moving after a turn. Really good asset for this Astra D-line.
Halverson with the pull. OB. Munson picking it up. Gonna get it in the center of the field. Looks like they're in some sort of a zone look here.
3-person cup, it looks like.
Munson gives it to Pugh, back to Munson. And they don't want to force it into that foreside too much. Do exactly what Asher wants them to do.
Ooh.
I think that might be a strip call there.
Falcons are playing onto that trap sideline like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Hammer with the disc, throws the blade, gets it around to Pugh, who then throws it all the way break side to Anderson, back to Pugh, back to Munson, in the center of the field, back to Pugh. Nice hammer from Pugh to Anderson. Not a lot of options for her. And Falcons get another goal.
Little bit of a miscommunication there. Looked like the wing got split vertically. One cut underneath towards the sideline, one away. She chose to go with the underneath, assuming that deep would pick up that cutter moving towards the end zone. But there wasn't a good switch off there, and Falcons get a relatively uncontested goal here. You can see the split happen. The wing pinches in, and
Halverson tries to get there, but there's too much room to make up.
Think about there's a risk with this type of 3-person cup defense with such talented throwers. You know they're going to be able to break it off that trap sideline. But nevertheless, those are the moments where you can exert some high pressure on the offense. The key for Astra there is to try to stop the downfield throw after the disc moves laterally. They did that a couple times. Then they have that miscue as the disc swings back to the trap side.
Loop with the pull for Falcons. That one's inbounds on the far sideline. Astra centers it to Avalon-Igawa. And Falcons appear to be also in some sort of a junk zone. Helm gets it to Childress, who gets it to Chip Yen on the sideline. And then Astra works at break side. Working it around, working on that break side. And Falcons are still in their junk. Maggie looks deep. It's a double person on deep. And Astra still comes out with it.
Hands onto the disc. So exciting. Look at that. We love it.
That's
Chip Yen.
Chip Yen, the UCLA grad, one of the youngsters on the Astra team.
Maggie sees it. She wants it. And she's got it.
O'Connor takes a risk there. Yin has maybe a step on her defender, and there's help over top. I've had the misfortune of coaching against Yin in college, when she was in college, and she's one of the fastest players on the field. Very solid, steady hands.
Yeah, you can tell Mankoff wants that one back. Eight to 12 here. 3 minutes and 48 seconds left.
Still plenty of time. It's waning down, but if you're Astra, you come out with that same pressure that you started this quarter with and see what happens. See if you can get a quick goal here.
Halverson with the pull. It's inbounds. They center it to Schumacher. Get an immediate gainer under. And then an immediate huck from Flowerman Hernandez. Molly Munson comes up with it for Falcons.
Molly Munson was open by about 30 yards in the deep space for the entire point, and the Falcons were really patient, waited until they had a fairly clean look at her. The defender was finally closing some ground. Clearly a mix-up by Astra. No one takes Munson. She's lingering back there the whole time. You can see a great effort to close, but ultimately Munson had the space.
Yeah, hard to tell here, but you could hear the sideline screaming for catch-up. Great grab by Munson.
The fact that Astra was able to, the fact that Abby was able to close some ground and actually have a decent play on pressuring that disc is fortunate for Astra.
Let's go, Astra!
Jacqueline Nguyen with the pull.
And the pull from the Falcons, Astra's received.
Inbounds at about 35. Avalon Igawa to Maggie O'Connor. Handler's just working it right now. Childress with a great grab under pressure. Immediately boosts it. Will her player come up with it?
Oh.
So close.
The speed of Chip Yin to almost get there.
Jacqueline Watauka has Sam Loop. Falcons working these in cuts, just can't get that one off. Maggie O'Connor picks it up for Astra. Centers it to Swift. Back to O'Connor on the break side. Who then gives it back to Swift. Who then gives it back to O'Connor. Looking for Pritchard deep. She's got yards and she's got a goal.
Astra 9, Falcons 13.
Astra still in this game.
My favorite team.
The clock is running down a little bit for Astra. Every point still matters. Even if you come away with this being a loss, there's good momentum to be gained from ending the game strong, and also if there are tiebreakers later in the season, having that point differential be a little bit closer can be really important. It had a huge impact last year.
Mm-hmm.
What a nice touch throw from O'Connor to Pritchard in space.
Yeah, great space for Stephanie having those yards. Such a good deep threat.
Maybe part of the problem for Astra is a little bit too much activity from that vert stack, which is allowing the Falcons to poach off of cutters as they try to clear back to the stack. In that case, they had Pritchard out in space and 4 players in a tight stack, so the help wasn't there for the Falcons.
Halverson with the pull. OB. Eliza Pugh picking it up and taking it to the center. Taking her sweet time, letting that clock tick down. In cut by Saltzman. Looking for a handler. Dump. Gets it. Back in Pugh. A nice breakthrough to Weeby. Weeby with a visionary lefty IO. And Falcons get a quick goal. Eliza Pugh. Or no. Rachel Clarkson with the goal. Sorry.
It's really impressive to see Rachel Clarkson working on these points. We mentioned her earlier, really driving her deep cuts aggressively to open up huge gainers. I was watching her at that point. She was perpetually in motion, yet never in the way, and is rewarded with an easy goal.
Great timing on that one. I think what really set it up was that IO break side throw right here.
Absolutely.
To Weeby, who then has a lefty IO backhand to Lure, who then hits Clarkson. All right, Jacqueline Nguyen with the pull.
If you're Astra here, you want a quick score, but a score is more important. As many times as you can get your D back out there, the better.
Pull lands inbounds, I believe. Kim Helm picking up on the sideline, centers it to Swift. Falcons coming out in their junk. Astra's handlers having to work it a lot, which takes a lot of time off the clock. Great pressure from Sam Loop, which gets the D. Falcons knocking on the doorstep again. Ooh, that blade just cannot connect. Igawa picking up on the goal line. Full 80 to go for Astra. Kim Helm with the disc in the center. Astra's, a little bit stagnant and an unfortunate turn. Falcons now get the disc on their own end zone line. And a quick goal for the Falcons. Looks like Astra was not sure how to set up on that one, or who they didn't really know who they had.
Seemed a little bit out of sync, we'll say. It might have been a new look from the Falcons that we haven't seen yet, or maybe we've seen it a couple times and we just didn't notice it. But it certainly took Astra out of their rhythm, and they had a hard time figuring out, once they swung the disc to the middle of the field, where were they going to attack, and ultimately just got a couple of miscues on easy passes.
Yeah, Astra looked a little bit out of the element on that one. Not really sure what to do with that defense. 41 seconds left in this game. LA Astra 9, San Francisco Falcons 15.
For the amount of turnover the Falcons have had, their chemistry and fast breaking has been really impressive. They've been very efficient with their chances.
Meaty Chang with the pull. They center it to Maggie O'Connor. Under pressure, who gets it. Sends it to Childress. Back to O'Connor. O'Connor boosts it, looking for Childress, who's got triple pressure, and still almost comes down with it. Astra has it. Felicia Yang on that one. Astra with the goal. Chip Yen.
Well, that might be the final chance for Astra, unless they force a really quick turnover. Only 10 seconds left. It'd be a good way for them to end this game if they can have a solid defensive possession and get a stop here, even if they can't get the opportunity to convert a break. For the Falcons, it's a chance to add a point to your point differential for later in the season and make this win just a little bit more emphatic. We're early in the season here. It's just the first game. But the cliche, every point matters, remains true.
Indeed. Working out the kinks right now. Asher with probably the last pull of the night. Oh, it's a roller straight out of bounds. I love the look. Let's see what sort of defense they put up. The short field.
See if they trap aggressively here. That's something that I think the Utah Wild have used as a strategy in previous seasons. Do that roller and try to generate a lot of pressure on that first throw. Looks like they're actually, yeah, here comes the trap.
10 seconds on the clock. Oh! And a one-throw goal for the Falcons.
Some sort of miscue in the matchups or the responsibilities of the Astra defenders there. And I suppose it's the commentator's curse. The Astra actually will get one more chance to score tonight. I didn't think that they would with 10 seconds left, but hey, they're trying new things. They wanted to try to get a first throw turnover so that they get another chance. It ended up working out the opposite way with that nice shot to Munson from Eliza Pugh.
All right, very likely the last pull of the game. Jacqueline Nguyen for the Falcons. 7 seconds left. Maybe they'll do a roller out of bounds too.
See how many points we can score in the last 10 seconds.
That's a huge hug. Maggie O'Connor catches the pull. Gives it to Stephanie Pritchard, who has Camille Wilson. Back to Pritchard. To Childress. Back to Maggie O'Connor in the center of the field. Chip Yen with the disc. Looking for a dump. Doesn't get one. And I believe that's the game.
Looks like Julia Mankoff ends the game with that layout block. For both these teams working out the kinks, Falcons came out on top today. Really impressive chemistry, especially on their D-line's offense after a turn. But tons of time for both these teams to turn things around, and I think really promising foundations for both. The Astra defensive pressure, the Falcons' tactical adjustments and chemistry together. Both teams should feel confident moving forward, I think.
Yeah, Melina Wiebe probably scored the most goals today. Very impressive. Her and Needy Chang just taking over this game.
These teams have one more matchup against each other in San Francisco later in the year. That game is potentially going to have a lot of playoff implications, just like this one did. These conference games are going to be really important. Your win inevitably helps you. It also takes the team you beat a step further, right? You go up one in the win column, they go one in the loss column. Mm-hmm. It's more important than those out-of-conference games in a sense.
Here's the disc graph play of the game. It should be a bunch of defensive blocks. Ava Hanna. Boom.
Attacks that disc.
Jasmine Childress with another D.
We couldn't decide on just a single play. We had so many great ones. We've got
Schumacher coming up big.
Yeah, Arela blocks Bile there. Stepanidis.
Saying nope.
There's Grimshaw jumping out in that lane.
Nice poach.
Camille Wilson.
So fast. Wiebe.
Maybe with the sort of most important block in terms of momentum late in that game, as Astra was trying to make that run. They'd had a couple breaks in a row. Had the disc, trying to get that next break, keep the run going. Trying to throw to Handler, getting power position on a strike cut, and Wiebe says no. Ends the momentum. Falcons took back control after that.
Indeed, that was a huge change of momentum for them. This was a great game, though. A great start for the Falcons and for the Astra. I think they both learned a lot from this and have a lot to work on. A lot of stars tonight. Thanks for joining us for the Western Ultimate League's first game with the San Francisco Falcons and the Los Angeles Astra. Thank you to our sponsor, Discraft, and everyone for joining us this evening.
It's been a pleasure. We look forward to seeing how the rest of this season plays out. This was a great first game for both of these teams, and we're sure there's going to be more excitement to come.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Dina Slattery.
I'm Sam Fontaine. Have a good one.